Success is not the absence of failure, it's persistence through failure. Aisha Tyler. Let's jump into these charts. We see everything is up for the day except HODL, that is the Bitcoin ETF. Now, let's talk about where we are. I'll give you our summary forecast we have here for the S&P. We've got about a 65% probability of continued up movement. We are bullish on the S&P. Our buy point was around the $608.89. We closed the day on the S&P. Sorry, I'm not on the S&P chart. We closed the day at 609.73, so we're just a little above that. We see resistance at the 610 and the 615 marks. And like I said, the expected moves around $5 to $7. And again, if we push through that 610, then we should see it sustained up to about 615. See where things popped up in the morning, a little further up in the afternoon. You can see we're moving up on the 2-day chart. Don't know if we're going to get to average volume. Haven't been there the 6 days prior. Looks like we'll probably hit average volume on the weekly chart, above average volume in the afternoon on Thursday. Now, our high of highs recently has been, that occurred on, excuse me, the week beginning the 21st of January, and that was a high of 610.78. And as we look at where we are right now, the high so far this week, 609.94. So we're not too far away. And again, we blow through that 610 mark. Hopefully we'll keep moving on up to about 615. What do we see on the NASDAQ 100? Well, the NASDAQ 100, we're bullish on that, actually more so than the S&P, 70%. And of course, the buy point was just a little below where we closed out for the day. We closed out at 535.90. Buy point was 534.41. And we see resistance around the 540 mark. Then if it blows through that, around the 545 mark. Now, as we look at where the most recent high was, we look back all the way to December 16, and that was 538.28. So again, we've got a ways to go. And again, things are positive. We can see average volume in the morning, higher than average in the afternoon, with things peaking up. After a green spinning top on the last 2-day candle, we have a nice candle moving up. We may get to average volume when on the 2-day chart, and I do think we'll probably get to average volume on the weekly, which is always a good sign of continued movement. So we'll keep our eye on the cues. What do we see going on with 20-year U.S. government bonds? They were up for the day, 1.66%. Now, again, probability continued up movement, not that great, around 60%, around 40% for a down movement. We still, with that 60% would be bullish. Buy point right just a little bit higher than it is right now, 88.86. We're at 88.68. Now, of course, the problem with that is we're seeing support and resistance, both resistance from further down moves around the 87.86 mark, and then resistance for the continued up move around 90 and 92. That's not a lot of movement, my friends. And when you've got 60% probability, not the kind of thing I want to pull the trigger on. So we'll keep our eye on 20-year U.S. government bonds, see what they do on the morrow. Of course, if there is significant down push on that, and again, we saw things pop up in the morning and the afternoon, but still below that weekly trend line, as is the 2-day. If things roll off that and we go to a red spinning top, of course, that's a telltale sign for some down move a-coming. So I'll be watching for that. Let's look at gold. Of course, we've been bullish on gold this entire week. Right now, we're showing probability continued up movement at about 75%. Our buy point, just a little below where things are now. They're at 270.31. Our buy point, 269.99. Again, as we watch things, we see resistance being up there at the 275 to 280 mark. So we will keep an eye on things. Again, have some nice movement potential there and much more on the upside. In fact, that is our highest probability of continued up movement for the week. And again, gold just keeps on shining. And I do encourage you tomorrow when we release to the public, of course, our Patreon members can get it right now, Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies, because I do speak about what's been going on with silver lately. Now, let's jump lastly into HODL. That is, of course, the Bitcoin ETF. And we're still more bearish on that. As we look, we saw things Wednesday afternoon. We got a green candle there. But then on Thursday, things started moving down again. And that's what our charts were telling us, bearish. Looks like the buy point, well, the sell point is 107. We're right at 108.95 right now. And we look at the support around the 105 and then the 100 mark. So again, we do have some downward pressure. We can see it on the 2-day as things have steadily moved down, staying just below that weekly trend line. The low last week on this ETF was 106.96. This week, 106.84. So we've not quite gotten to the low of last week. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Friday. And of course, as we look at things, we see that there is a 4-to-1 split happening on Friday. So that is indeed interesting. That'll reduce the price, reset things. Again, the price will reset itself. It will be lower, but of course it just means for those who had one, they're going to get 4. Let's make sure that's not a reverse split, 4-to-1. So again, we'll be watching for that to happen tomorrow. That could have something to do with some energy in this ETF, but of course it's going to be driven by what? By the Bitcoin price. And of course, again, encourage you tomorrow when we release to everyone, we'll be following the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart, which is this one. We'll be talking about it and Ethereum and the Bitwise Top 10 Crypto Index Fund that is weighted as per market share. We had some interesting information to share with you on that this week. That is where we are. I am finishing up now, and Patreon members, we will be launching out to you the 10, well, hopefully 10 of each. We always try for that as far as weekly vertical crossovers go, and we'll be preparing those and knocking those out for you this evening. So look for your email. If you don't see an email, for some reason we went into your spam filter, don't forget, we always post everything at the Patreon page too. If you appreciate what we do here, consider becoming a Patreon member. First 2 things you're going to get: Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, our 3-part series on options. You won't find anything better on the internet, we sure don't think. And you get my latest book, 3-Wave Trading. You will love it. That's the reports I've gotten so far. God bless my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.